Heyo, thanks for joining me today by the fire. I was hoping to be outside in the garden, but we got snow today and tomorrow, snow and rain, so kind of stuck inside still, waiting for spring to finally come. So it's been a while. I figured it'd be a good time to make a video. I've been reflecting a lot on things, just my personal situation. So it made me think of this video I want to call "All the Experiences in Your Life Have Led to This Present Moment." I mean, basically, if you reflect on your life and you see where you were, you can kind of unravel how you got to this present moment you're in and why you're experiencing whatever you're experiencing. It could be anything. There is endless amounts of experiences going on out there, you know. I'm happy with my experience. Kind of free at the moment, have a little bit of money stocked up, got to start a business, but it's going to start itself, I think. You know, once the snow disappears, I get some cards out, I get my name around, there'll be plenty of stuff to do. Got the cabin to work on, which is just a never-ending thing. But I want to talk about how it's driven me a little crazy, though, too. You know, having to think about all of this that I'm experiencing. And how, as I had no idea this is how it would turn out, or this is where I would be at this point in my life. I'm happy with it. I'm more excited about what I have learned and how much I've come to know myself, the self beyond the character that I'm playing. Like, I wasn't doing all these things in life to have all of the typical things people have, you know, a family, a nice job, a bunch of money, a bunch of friends, you know. I guess what I've really been doing is trying to figure out the truth. That's been my main goal this entire life. And it drives you nuts, drives you insane, because you're just like, why aren't other people interested? But that's them. But it gets you to a point, it's gotten me to this point, to where I realize my mind is limited. This is not a place that can be figured out. It's a very individual situation where it's like you figure out everything yourself here. If you start following other people, good luck with that. I'm not saying there aren't people that will help you out on your personal path. But when you really get to know yourself and how deep things are, this place, it's like a giant playground to see every sort of spiritual wisdom, spiritual ignorance, you know, like people that are in love with food, people that are responsible with food, It's just every sort of conscious creation is kind of manifesting here. They got animals that just like live out in the woods, do their own thing too, mixed up with us and all this. And it's not something you can even comprehend, is what I'm trying to put across. Because I've tried to comprehend it, okay? I've tried to really understand the ins and outs of reality. And you have to get to a point where you just accept what you have at this current moment. You know, whatever you've done in the past to make you think this way, that's all you got. You're not going to be able to just know, oh, now I get it. Now I understand everything. It's more about accepting the infinite and realizing you're more than all these things. You're more than the character that you play. You're more than the job. You're more than just being a husband or a wife. You're more than these identities. You're more than a Christian. You're more than a Islamist. So I have this analogy about the mind that I want to talk about. So when you think about your mind, it's always branching out like lightning almost. You're thinking of a thought, and then that thinks to another thought, to another thought. You know, sometimes you're thinking about the past and how, man, it happened that way. So then if I try it this way, then that outcome might happen. You're thinking about the future and what's to come, branching off onto all sorts of possibilities. And how sometimes all of that can be tainted. All of those ideas that you're having could just be hurting you. They might not actually be worth thinking in the first place. Going down all of these thoughts and basically people call it the monkey mind. You know, letting your mind just run and wonder, and instead of being in this present moment, you're allowing yourself to imagine the past or the future, and how it's kind of can paralyze you. Okay, and I guess an easy example, taxes in the money situation. I feel like it's all been done intentionally. The idea of taxes, the idea that every year you have to pay, the idea that you're going to run out of money, like it's all of this artificial scarcity has been created to control you and to keep you in a thought form of how am I going to get more money? How do I get money to survive? You know, while there's this dark group of people that prints the money, and they're just playing tricks on everyone with the money. So I guess I'm making this analogy about your mind and how it branches off into all these different areas, and how money, taxes, God, if you watch the news, you're probably so screwed up in the head if you actually watch the news on a daily basis and keep up with it. It's absolute propaganda and lies, and really pollutes the mind, gets the mind into such a fearful, controllable state. So I'm talking about how the mind can become polluted and dirty and nasty, you know, and sometimes you can't stop all these thoughts that are branching off, and this is next, and they come up with another story, they're doing another thing to grab your attention. And how the analogy I want to make is you want your mind to be like a clear, crystal clear, cool, calm spring. Like, you know, a spring coming out of the ground of water. They're everywhere. Out in the woods everywhere. You go out there, you know, it depends on where you're at, but you'll find a spring. And it's just bubbling up out of the ground, out of the earth. It's always flowing, but it's always pure at the same time. And you need to treat your mind this way. Your mind needs to clear up and allow for new experiences and for new thoughts to come through. Or no thoughts. Probably better just to not think in a lot of cases than to think. And that's the whole point of this video. All your experiences, everything that you think about in the past, it's all gotten you to this point here. Everything that you're thinking about in the future, well, that got you to this point too. Because you were wanting this, you desired that. I mean, I could speak about myself, you know. I'm trying to start a farm, have a family, get a construction business going, finish this cabin. I planned a lot of things out in my life 10 years ago. And now I'm like in the middle of it. It's awesome and it's horrifying. Is all I could say. Is like I could look at it in such an awesome way. Like, look at all this progress you've made. Look at what you've learned. You know, look at all these skills you have. Or I could look at it at this horrifying way of I don't have my wife yet. I don't have my family yet. Oh, the cabin's not even done yet. Oh man, I gotta start a business. Ugh. It's like, it's a lot that goes on in a person's being. And I'm just sharing my experience, right? Because I feel like my superpower is being authentic and open. And hopefully that's going to help this place heal, get back to some semblance of a peaceful, honest place again. But I feel like I have to be honest. Nature's honest with me. I got to be honest with nature, with everybody else. Sometimes it sucks to be alive. Sometimes it's rough and it's hard. But then time goes by, that passes on, and life becomes awesome again. It becomes beautiful. And you should really, when you're in those spots to where it's like horrifying, or it's like, God, I don't want to live this life anymore. It's too much. There's a lot of that, I think, that goes on. Like, people are really being tested. Our minds, because it's all about mind control. Like, it's all about, right now, it's really about getting into your mind and ruining it so it can be used in some disgusting purpose. And so in order to take your mind back and to stop letting these people pollute it, you really need to have some individual spiritual practices, some respite, you know, some refuge from the storm of the world. And I guess for me, I've been taking a lot of salt baths. Since I have unlimited water because it's been snowing and my well is just full, I can use as much water as I want without worrying about my well going dry, which it probably never will. Just a stupid worry that gets stuck in your head. But I've been doing a salt bath a day, sometimes twice a day. And for me, I get into that bath and it's almost like I tap into my subconscious. you can't explain it because it's a different altered state of mind that you go in when you're in a salt bath. You're in a really relaxed state. But it helps clear the mind of all the gunk. And so that's all I'm trying to bring to you in this video is, hey, if you're going through some thoughts that are driving you mad, find a way to clean it out. Visualize a nice clear spring. Try to be like clear, cool, calm spring water in your mind. Everything that has happened in your life was all to get you to this moment, to realize that, to see it for what it is. You didn't have your life to have a big calamity, to have all the bad things that, I could go on and on and on, because I feel like the world is built off of bad thoughts right now. Like, most things that people are doing is because they think something bad is going to happen. So they're paying their taxes. They're hiding away somehow. Something bad is going to happen. So I can't trust I can't trust my neighbor because I don't know them, or it's just the whole idea of government is predicated on bad thoughts. Like, you think everybody's a stranger. You think everybody's out to get you. So you create this group that ends up getting everybody and getting their hands in the middle of everybody and everything. And then they create more reasons for you to be afraid. More ideas in your head about how things are bad and scary and rotten. It's a theme of this age. And so if I'm going to even be here, if I'm going to be saying anything, it's going to be, we need to destroy all that stuff. It needs to all be recreated, simply put. But it starts with you recreating yourself. I got to recreate myself. I can't get caught up in the bad regrets of the past or the worries of the future. I got a funny feeling, a real funny feeling. It's all going to be healed one day right in front of our eyes. And it's going to be overwhelming. The joy and the love and the peace that everyday life brings us. But we had to go through this, what we're going through right now. Crazy people trying to control. And then people allowing themselves to be controlled. And it was an experience. It was something we all needed to see. Something we all needed to feel. Do we want to continue with it? Do we want to keep going with this stuff? I don't. I feel like I never wanted to control other people or have things so controlled. The thing that got me was me trying to control myself. That's the big one. There's a difference between discipline and control. And how trying to control yourself, you don't understand how much you are and how you can't control yourself. You can imagine that you're under control, and you can imagine that all these other people control all this other stuff, but the truth of it is there's this one moment we're all in right here, right now. I'm not controlling it. It's sort of unraveling. It's sort of like a flower unfolding. And I mean, you can become delusional, think you have total control over things. Hey, that's what has manifested government and all its minions. They have this fantasy of control when they're really just controlled by their fears when you study it. I always talk too long, but I'm sure there's a few people that'll get something out of this. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this talk. Refresh your mind, renew the mind. You don't know what's coming around the corner. None of us do. Okay? Let go of the past. Just stay in the present. It's the real present that's been given to you, is this moment right now. And you've given it to yourself if you've gone through any hard times in the past. And you're able to reflect and see it differently now. Realize that you're not dumb, you're not a fool, it wasn't a mistake, it had to happen that way. Whatever terrible thing happened, it had to happen. I really see everything as connected. And it all needs to play out the way that it's playing out. So I love you all. Enjoy yourselves.